I am now. I'm recording now. And so all of that first part will be missed from the message, but hopefully you guys will share. Thank you. Thank you so much for the reminder, because I really meant to hit the recording. So, yesterday we talked about what are these symptoms, how these symptoms of rejection, because the root belief when our fathers aren't in our life is that somehow we reject, there's a rejection belief that we have. That's where the ums come from. I'm not acceptable. So rejection is the refusal to accept, approve, or support something. And so when our fathers aren't available to us, it's as though we grow up feeling that he doesn't accept us, he doesn't love me, he doesn't embrace who I am. So we have all of these issues that we carry with us when our dads aren't around. And excuse me for a second. And these issues will begin to, I call it infect, not just affect, but infect our entire lives. So for me, my rejection issue showed up a lot in my career. Prior to being a life coach, I was a graphic designer. I worked for a television station for over 10 years. I kept getting promotions. I went from being a graphic designer for Everyday News to being the art manager, but I never could see my worth. Every time being a graphic designer, my work has constantly, people look at what I design and they would have comments about it. And because of my own insecurities, my own rejection issues, instead of realizing that they were not rejecting me, they was just rejecting this project, this work, this graphics, I felt like they was rejecting me. So I was always the victim. And many of us walk through life the victim of life because we think everyone is picking on us and no one values me and no one sees how great I am. That is not their job. That is your job. And you have to get over your emotional wounds that comes from the daddy issues so that you see yourself as amazing, great, wonderful as you are. And that way you don't have to fight for other people to see it. You just be, and then they will see it. So we talked a lot about that last night. We listed out how these wounds are showing up in men's lives as well as women. And so for the guys who are in the room, some of the ways the emotional wounds show up for men is explosive tempers. There's this aloof where I call it like too cool for school. Like you, in your effort of being cool and don't want nobody to know how you feel, you withdraw and you come across as uncaring. Commitment issues. Men who have daddy issues, sometimes they reveal themselves in your need to not commit. Like it's just really hard for you to commit to a relationship, to commit to life, commit to responsibility, because there's a part of you that you don't understand, and the drive, the hurt, the pain is causing you to not want to be too attached to anything, perhaps because you felt like your father wasn't attached to you. So those are some of the things we talked about the last 2 nights. I encourage you to go and watch part 1. Sadly, part 2 didn't record. And so tonight, the goal is to talk about how do you overcome these issues? How do you move into what I call the awakening? And the awakening is now I'm aware that I have the issues. Now I see that these things are affecting my relationships. They're affecting me on my job. They're affecting my health. Because you got to think about it. If you don't find yourself lovable, maybe what you do instead of being kind to yourself, you say ugly things like negative self-talk. I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm never going to succeed. Or maybe you hide behind food. Some people go to food to be comforted. Maybe you're the person who goes shopping. So your debt, your credit card bills are really high because you're like, well, I got to buy this in order to feel better or to fit in or to be extra or to be loved. So you're always vying for attention. You're always trying to earn your worthy, of your need to feel worthy. And so you use all of these other methods to do it because you don't know who you are. You don't know how loved you are, and you don't see yourself that way. So I've said a lot. Are there any questions before I move on? And if you have a question, click in the chat box. I have a question, and then I will unmute you because I don't want to unmute the whole room. It gets a little noisy. Exactly. So I had someone earlier who said that they need to talk to their father because literally the person says, I realize that he will not know how I feel if I don't tell him. Exactly. Like we put all of these expectations on our fathers, and then we take those same strange expectations into our relationships where we have this belief or this thought that, well, he should know. He's my dad. He should know. He's human. He does not know. Many times your father is just doing the best he know how to do. And maybe his best isn't what you think you need. But if you don't tell your dad, I need you to spend more time with me. Dad, I need us to have better conversations. Dad, I need you to slow down and make me a priority of your life. If you don't know how to say those words to your dad, but you're sitting around and you're angry with him because he's not doing it, this is where I talk about you take full responsibility for your life so that you can create the life you want. And the only way we do that is we express what we think, what we feel, and then we are mature enough to accept the response that we may get back in return. So you may not get the response you want, but at least you've asked for what you want. And another thing that came up on the other calls is many of us are hurting and yearning for our Father's love and affection, but we're not clear about what it is we want from him. So are you clear? Are you clear about what you want from your dad and what you need from him? And can you articulate it? Can you put it into words? And then the other part is, are you willing to? Are you willing to take a risk to sit down with your father and share, Dad, this is what I need. Dad, this is what I would like our relationship to look like. Or are you just holding it all in, hoping that he would get it, being upset with him, angry that he's not treating you the way you want to be treated? And are you holding him responsible for something that he's incapable of? That's something we talked about on, I think it was day one, that many times we have these expectations of our fathers who maybe they themselves have daddy issues. Therefore, they can't give you the kind of love that you want. They can't play with you, or they weren't capable when you was a kid to connect with you because they themselves maybe just didn't know how. And so as an adult, you can choose now to have a different relationship with your father, or at the very least to let him off the hook for the beliefs that you had about who he should be. So are there any questions? You guys are really quiet tonight. Any aha moments, any thoughts, anything that anyone wants to share? So how about the children who've never had the presence of their father or a father in their life? Yeah. That is going to be difficult. But here's what I want you to understand. If you never had the presence of your father in your life, okay, so I'll open it up for you in a second. Someone said they want to share. Give me 1 second. But if you never had the presence of your father in your life, what you have to realize is that that is affecting you. It's affecting the way you're doing relationships. It's affecting the way you're doing life. And so what I would encourage you to do is get honest with yourself about what's missing, so that you can go within to figure out what's missing instead of looking outwardly, trying to get other people to fill that void for you. So I would encourage you to read books about what a dad is supposed to do and offer, particularly if you have children or if you plan to have children. Because your thing is just your iPhone, I don't know if I'm talking to a male or a female. If you are a female, I'll encourage you to read books about, fatherhood and understanding the role of a father in your life, so that when you come into relationship with a man, and if you begin to have children, you know what to expect and to have your expectations of what their dad should be in their life. You want it to be realistic, not this fantasy that you've created because you didn't have the relationship with your own father. And you want to be aware of those wounds so that as you're moving through life, and attracting either men or women, because I don't know which one you are, how is this How is this showing up? How is this showing up in my relationships? What is this making me think about myself, thus making me think about them? So that would be the thing I would encourage you about. And if there's any way, can you recommend books to read? I will do my best at the end. Let's see, I'm looking for, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Someone wants to share and I do not see them on the screen. So I'm trying to find you on the screen so I can unmute you. Can you unmute yourself? You should be able to unmute yourself and you're welcome to share. Oh, yes.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just had a bit of an aha moment because my dad was like fully there emotionally, financially, everything. But then overnight, there was just a switch and he became a stranger to the whole family. But I'm realizing now that he might have just been battling with mental issues because my brother is also going through the same thing. And because we didn't understand it and he didn't communicate it, he probably didn't even know it either. I'm realizing now that might just be the reason why he just switched up and changed. And no one understood. He just became a very different person, which is similar to what is happening with my brother. But because we are more aware of, mental issues now, he's getting help whenever he can. But I've been so upset with my dad for the longest time, and he's passed away. But now I'm realizing that it might have just not been his fault. It might have not been a malicious thing that he did, but something that he himself didn't know what was going on or how to communicate. So yeah, that's been my aha moment.
Wonderful. And I'm so thankful that you had that moment because you're probably that's probably more likely because it's not likely that you could have a dad who would be fully lovable and on and, so available to you to just turn off from malicious because it doesn't sound like he was a malicious person. So I'm thankful that you had that moment and you can now have that to hold into your heart about your dad. So I'm reading someone else's question. Is it okay if I read it out loud? Yes. Okay. So the question is, what about dealing with a proud father who doesn't want to accept faults and who wants to dictate how things should be in your life? Not sure if this has to do with issues he may have had with his father. Okay. So that's good. I certainly went through that myself. Proud daddy. Listen, your goal is not to change your father. It's not going to happen. Our parents are older than us. They've been around. They think they know everything, and perhaps they do. They know everything that works for their life. So you're not going to change them. So the whole there. He's proud. Let him be proud. Here's what you have the opportunity to do. You have the opportunity to accept your father just as he is. But if you're an adult, and I imagine if you're on this call, you're over 18 years old, and you're no longer living off your dad's finances, you're not in his home, you can decide the type of relationship. That's what we talked about too in day 2. You can decide the type of relationship that you're going to have moving forward with your dad. See, as children, we need daddies. Daddy is, I need you to approve me. I need you to affirm me. I need you to see me. I need you, Dad. I need you to guide me. I need you to show me how to do things. When we become adults and we begin to sort through life and figure it out ourselves, there comes a time when you do not need your daddy's approval anymore. May feel like it, you may want it, but you don't need it. It comes a time when you don't need daddy's guidance anymore. You may need some wisdom, but you may not need daddy to tell you exactly how to do it, where to go. Like, I don't need my dad to teach me how to tie my shoe anymore. I know how to do that now. And so as an adult, there are decisions I'm going to make where I don't need daddy's approval, permission, or acceptance. This is the decision I want to make. I love you. I'm sorry you don't approve of it, but this is my life. We have to learn to move out of the position of I'm a little girl, I'm a little boy, so I need my daddy to tell me what to do in order to have a relationship with him, to say, no, I no longer need you as my daddy, but I love to have you in my life as my father. Father establishes relationship, meaning I want to get to know you. Tell me about how it was your life when you was a kid. Share with me, what was it like when you was in your 20s? How did you fall in love with my mom? What made you choose her? And that is having relationships with your father. That is moving out of the daddy position and then choosing to be in relationship with the father. That way you know him, you understand for me, I'm very much like my father. So I never could not have a relationship with my dad because I needed to know that part of myself. And so when I talk to my dad and I hear how he thinks on issues that I did, I wasn't there when he was a teenager. I wasn't there. I like to hear those stories about my dad because I was like, oh my God, oh, that's why I do that. Oh, that's why I like that. That's where you want to move your relationship. When you become an adult, you can invite your parents to be in relationship with you as like adult people now, and not as daddy, what do you think? Daddy, where should I go? Daddy, you got to understand that there's a difference. And it will be hard. It will be hard for a father who doesn't know how to maybe emotionally communicate but it doesn't mean it's impossible, because it's most likely he wants the relationship that you want too. How you guys get there, you got to figure out how to love each other towards the acceptance. Daddy, I accept you just how you are. You did not give me everything I thought I needed as a child. And I say I thought I needed because truth is, where your dad was lacking or what he did not offer you in life as a childhood, it probably helped you become everything that you are today. It helped you become resilient, it helped you become stronger, it helped you become more determined. And so if you begin to learn to look at the what I call the gifts in the pain, then you now can use your pain message instead of allowing your pain message to use you. And that's where we want to move in life. We want to move to a place where we're no longer the victim of our life, but we are the hero. And heroes take all the stuff that they've experienced and say, you know what, I'm going to use this for my good instead of just being sad, sappy, and needing someone else to fix it for me. May I share that? I think someone sent me a message. It's okay to share? Okay. I never actually cared about his approval as he wasn't really around. But yeah, but it's difficult to talk to someone who doesn't see what they may have done wrong, and that may have bothered you. This is going to be hard to hear. This is going to be hard to hear. But here's where your freedom lies. Your freedom lies in one, admitting you say, I don't care about his approval. You have to admit that maybe there's a little part of you that do. Because for that to be your first, I never, I don't care. When we say we don't care about something, usually we do. We don't want to care. We don't want to care about it. But maybe there's a little smidget of you that do. Okay. So connected to that is what I call the little me, the small me, the 12-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old, that little part of yourself that, when daddy first hurt you, when daddy first let you down. And then the part when you say it's difficult to talk to someone who doesn't want to see what they did wrong. Listen, people struggle with admitting, particularly daddies, they're wrong. My father's best apology to me was, I know I didn't do right by you, but you're not going to hold it over my head for the rest of your life. That was my dad's apology. And I said, oh, is that an apology? But listen, it's all he had to offer me. Men can be very prideful, and it's hard for them to admit that they made mistakes. You can continue to hold on to the anger, disappointment and rage of them not saying I'm sorry, them not admitting. Or you can choose, and this is what we're going to talk about tonight. You can choose to forgive anyway. You can choose to forgive anyway. And yes, it's hard. No, it does not mean it's going to change the relationship. But what I see about forgiveness, forgiveness erases the energy that connects you to the anger, to the power that they still have in your life. So the forgiveness is for you. And I know perhaps you've all heard it before. But the forgiveness is, and some of us may be struggling. How can I forgive? He's not asking for my forgiveness. How can I forgive and they still act that way? Again, you cannot change other people. You cannot change your fathers. You can choose the energy that you're going to carry on through your life from what daddy did. And if daddy wronged you, if you choose to look at the strength that you gained because he wronged you, then you will realize that even in the bad, there's something that I can take away. Here's my example. I was in university. My mother, single mom, financially always struggled. From the outside looking in, my father, listen to what I said. I did not say, well, my daddy had money. I don't know what kind of money my father had. But certainly from the outside looking in, financially, he looked more blessed than me, my mother. House was bigger, car was bigger. You know, they always wore their nice name brand clothes. From the outside looking in, it looked better to me. My father did not choose to help me when I was in university. And I thought, well, I'm doing a great thing. I'm being a good daughter. I'm off to university. I need this money. Surely my dad will help me. When I called to ask for help, he said, I do not have it. He didn't say, I'll try. He didn't say, give me a couple of days. He just simply said he did not have it. He did not try. And in my heart and in my mind at that time, I thought, wow, this dude is lying. He just doesn't want to see me succeed. Um, and I knew from an angry, bitter place at that moment, I could have said, and college university was very hard for me. I could have said, you know what, I'm gonna just quit because it's hard anyway. I don't want to be here, and now I can blame my dad. I can just say, well, my daddy didn't help me financially, so I quit. That's why I quit college. But you know what I did? I said, fine, if he won't help me, I got to figure this out. And I went to financial aid and I found out that there was this thing called work study where I put in for a few hours, they pay me and they pay my tuition. And I'm going like, wow, what did I learn from that? I could have stayed stuck in the belief and the feeling, I can't believe my father let me down. He was never there for me. He didn't. And how dare he do that? That could have been my story. But what I choose to see when I look back at that story is look how resilient I was. When my daddy said no, I had to find a way to make the world say yes. I had to find out that I was more creative than I ever thought I was. I had to get bold enough to go and stand in front of some people's faces to say, can you help me? Is there another way? You can always shift and change your story. But as long as your story is, he won't apologize. He wronged me. You are the victim. And you got to stand up and be the hero of your own life. Maybe not be fair, may not be right, but it's your life. It's your life. And I can't say that enough. It's your life. I'm reading someone's message. Yeah. Okay, so I'm told I can read this out loud. So what about for his sake? I truly care about my father, but I know that the best thing is to separate myself from him. He is getting older in age, and I worry he will have no one to take care of him. The way he has acted throughout our lives has driven all of my siblings away, and months away months away from driving my mother away. If he doesn't change, he will lose his family besides me, only because I have accepted him for what he is. Do I just let him suffer the consequences? You may okay. Listen, that's a decision you have to make. I will. I can't make that decision for you. Um, At the end of the day, at the end of life, I really do believe this, and some people may not agree. I think we all do the best we can with what we know at the moment. I think we all do the best we can with what we know at the moment. And think about it. You guys are here on this webinar and you're hearing things about how your daddy issues affected you, and you have these what I call soul wounds, or these emotional wounds, and how these wounds are showing up in every area of your life. And this may be why you treat people the way you treat them. You're angry all the time because of the wound. What if your daddy has wounds and no one ever told him? That because your dad wasn't there, because your mom wasn't there, because you had to work extra hard, because as a kid you got left all the time by yourself and you had to sort it out by yourself, that's going to affect your 20-year-old self, your 30-year-old self, your 40-year-old self. That's going to affect the way you deal with your children, the way you talk to your wife. What if no one ever told our dads that? And so they did the best they can do. And maybe in their best, they became bitter. And that's who we have now as dad. So we have to decide, am I going to take care of that dad? Am I going to take care of the dad that never took care of me? You just have to decide. You have to decide for you. So one of my biggest things is, one of the reasons I work hard to heal my daddy wounds is because, like everyone on this broadcast, my father is getting older. My father is 70 years old. Um, he's amazing. Like he has way more energy than I do. But here's the thing. It's most likely my father will pass before I do. I could die today and he be at my funeral. But my goal has been, I do not want to put my father in the ground full of regrets. I do not want to have withheld my love for my dad because of my anger. And now he's dead and now I'm feeling bad and I can't say what I need to say. So even though my father and I don't see each other, see life the same way, and there are certainly things he still do to hurt me and disappoint me, I still relationship. How was your day? Um, really, I laugh at his jokes. I listen to his perspective. I don't agree with it. I don't have to be right. One of the coolest things that freed me is I do not have to be right, but I want relationship. And so if relationships mean that I sit and I nod at my daddy who's 70 years old and has a way of seeing the world that makes absolutely no sense to me, then okay. I don't have to buy into the way he's seeing it, but that's my dad. And he's the only one I have. And so it's what's important for you. It's what's important for you. How do you want to that thing to end? So I won't answer that question, but you have to decide for yourself in your heart, how do you want that story to end? Okay. So we're gonna do one more because I want to make sure I equip you guys with how do you start moving from your daddy wounds. Yeah. So my dad tends to remember things in details. He tends to hold bitterly onto wrongs done him. Over time, I withdrew more and more from my parents because they always find wrongs in every move. I've reached the point where I don't care as much about the approval from my dad or mom, but they are not taking it well that I'm becoming more independent and I do not always need their advice. What can I do to balance the relationship while just not needing their approval? That's great. Yeah, I get that. Like parents, you got to think, we come from, I don't know how old you are and how old your parents are, but many of us, our life became our parents' life. Like they took their entire life and made it about the child. And so when the child becomes an adult, the parent didn't have a plan for what am I going to do when this kid no longer needs me the same way. And so many times they're holding on because they haven't found their own identity. And it is a challenge to build a relationship with people who don't want to see you as an adult. But I just, find your balance, find what works for you. Um, Sometimes that may be, what, I only can give mom and dad 2 hours because I can only do this little space of them seeing me as still a 12-year-old for an hour. So I'm gonna go, I'm gonna spend that time, I'm gonna make the call. But say to them, I love you. I wish you guys could see how much I love you. But I'm just not that little kid anymore. And it's going to be hard for them. It's going to be hard for you. And you guys are probably going to do this for a while. But the prayer and the hope is that eventually you get to a place where it becomes more about accepting one another than fixing each other. Because I think many of us lose in relationship, myself included, because we can't accept people for who they are, and people can't accept us for who we are. And so the easiest thing to do is to remove ourselves from the situation. Um, but then in that is a lot of regret. It's a lot of regret. And so it's a maturity thing. They're gonna have to mature. You'll have to mature, and it's not easy. It's just not easy, and there's no easy answer. But you decide. Like, get clear about what you need from your parents, and then be bold enough to say that to them. I love my mom. Whenever I go to cook, my mother and I cook totally different. She used to stand over my shoulder and tell me how to cook something. And I said, Mom, I love you dearly, but you've never cooked this in your life. How can you tell me how to cook it? Well, that's her role. That's what she thinks, right? But now, over time we talk, and she heard me, and she goes, okay, I'll sit, and I will believe that, my adult daughter can cook without my help. It was hard for her, but over time she got there. And it just really took us like, okay, you know what, Mom? And sometimes when we get there, I go, like, here, you cook it. And I walk away. She's like, no, 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 wait, wait, wait. No. But so it's not an easy process. But most parents, they want the relationship. Most of them want the relationship. And now understand, we are in a different time frame, a different age, where we all learned how to have emotional awareness conversations, where our parents didn't have that. And so let's be kind to them. Let's be loving to them. We got about 10 minutes left on this call, guys. And thank you all so much. I so appreciate you all coming on. But let me share with you the 3 things I want to make sure you have before you leave this. And then we can get back and I'll try to answer some more questions if there's time left. This is going to be challenging. I get it. 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 And I know you all have stories. But here's what you're going to have to do. If you really want to move out of your daddy issues, you have to forgive him. Forgive, forgive, forgive. And you can't forgive him one time. You can't forget. You can't say, I forgive, and it'll be all over. Every day, all the time, when he nudges you, when he says something that irritates you, or when he's not there to irritate you, or for the time, you're walking through a store or you're driving in your car and you remember something he did that you wished he did differently or better, just forgive. Just try to put all your energy into forgiving. And some of the things you can do is write down the things your dad did that hurt you. Be honest. You got to be honest with yourself. Many of us are stuck and we push stuff away. I don't care. He ain't never got to do anything for me. I don't need him. Like, we tell ourselves those stories. And then that energy is showing up everywhere else. So write down the places that he hurt you, that you're still angry with your father about. Then I encourage you, once you write it down and you can see it yourself, ask yourself, do I still need these things? Like, do I still need my dad to teach me how to ride a bike? Like, maybe you're angry with your father because he never played catch with you, or he never took you to the game, or he never came to your football games, or whatever your thing is, write it down. And then ask yourself, okay, my 12-year-old self needed that, but do my 25-year-old self need that? Does my 35-year-old self need that? Wherever age you are. And that way, you comfort the little person inside of you that's still hurting, and you allow the adult part of you to acknowledge that, you know what, I don't even need dad to do that anymore. And now I can build a relationship with my father. And even if that relationship is, I don't know who he is, but I can change the vision and the story I've created about him. And then stop rehearsing. Stop playing in your mind what he didn't do and what he should have done. Like, learn to control those thoughts. That's part of the forgiving. Part 2, listen, if you hung out with me or if you're new to me, what you should know about me is I'm a God girl. What do I mean by that? I believe in God. Some people might think that's crazy. Some people would go like, well, we can't talk. I believe in God. I believe that there's an energy in this universe that loves me. And when I start dealing with my daddy issues, I had to turn to that energy and begin to sort that energy as my father. Because I read the Bible, and the Bible tells me that he will provide my every need, that he provided a way that he will be a father to the fatherless. And so maybe it's all made up. Maybe it's my imagination, and I'm okay with that. But I connect to some energy that I find to be heavier, greater, wiser than me. And I say, I am greatly loved. I am greatly accepted. I am greatly appreciated. And I comfort myself with those words. And I do that through prayer. I do that through reading. I do that through meditation. So, whatever that source is for you, find something outside of yourself to connect to, an energy, a love source, something that's greater than you. That all of the things you think your daddy should have done, give all of that to that energy source. And some people are like, well, I can't do the whole God thing, but I do believe there's an energy that in the earth. Believe that that energy wants the best for you, and believe that that energy didn't come to hurt you, and believe that the things that your dad took you through is just a part of your journey, and it did not come to destroy you. And if you allow it, and if you go through a process, you can learn how to take every pain and turn it into purpose. I promise you. That is how I became a life coach. My greatest pain led me to becoming a life coach. And I believe every day I'm living my greatest purpose by helping people. Thirdly, thirdly, you got to learn to discipline this thing here. The way you think, you got to learn to control your thoughts. First, you got to be aware of them, and then you got to learn to control them. And when you can start disciplining your mind to not take you to the sad, pitiful state, I'm never going to be, I can't understand, why wasn't he there for me? When you can start disciplining your mind to say, okay, on today, right now, this very moment, I have everything I need. Didn't have the father that I wanted, but I had the one that I have. What can I learn from him? And even if what I learned from my dad is what I'm never going to do because of what my dad done, that he just taught you something. We have to learn how to find the good, the great in every situation. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's called being the hero of your own life. So those are the three things I offer you tonight. Forgive, connect to something greater than yourself. I call that something God. And thirdly, learn to control your thoughts. And one way to control your thoughts is read other people's thoughts. People like, I don't know what to read something wiser than what's in your own head. Your greatest thought got you to where you are now. So go get some other thoughts to get you to where you want to go. As a relationship life coach, when I tell people, I help people get clear about who they are. We go in. My clients will testify, like will testify to you. I help them see their lives differently. I help them experience life differently because I help them change the way they are viewing because of the way they are thinking. One of the things I want to share with you guys tonight before we end, I have a program called Journey to Your Best Self. That program will help you guys deal with every one of those emotional wounds that came about because of daddy issues. The program, is 6 parts. You receive a video, a worksheet, and then you work with me live. You can do this program either as a group or one-on-one with me. What we're going to look at is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to delve into that story you're telling yourself. And maybe your story is not right now around daddy issues. Maybe it's why you can't succeed at your job, why don't nobody like you, why you haven't found love. We all have a story. And we need to look at how you're telling your story, because either you can, at the end of the day, you are narrating the story. So you can either use your story to empower you or disempower you. You're going to either be the hero of the story or the victim of the story. But at the end of the day, it's your story. So let me help you write a story that would take you right into the life that you want. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to look at those emotional wounds, because the emotional wounds give you messages. Daddy wasn't there, therefore no men are good. I can't depend on anyone. Nobody's going to help me. I don't need him, so therefore I don't need anyone else. That wound is showing up in every area of your life. It's affecting everything or infecting everything. And so then you're sitting home by yourself trying to figure out, why does my life like this? It's because of your emotional wounds. They are ruining your life. I know, because mine did it forever, for years. And now that I'm aware of them, I move slower. I try not to say as much as I'm thinking, because everything you think is not healthy. You got to realize that you have to learn and move into that awareness. Part 3 of the course, you're going to look at your values. What do you value most right now? Many times we talk about values, but we do not really think about them, nor do we think about how they affect our lives and how they affect the decisions we make. We just move through life, move, 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 move. We're so busy all the time. I want you to look at your beliefs. What do you deeply believe? Because if you deeply believe you're not worthy of $100,000, $50,000, if you don't believe that you're worthy of love and affection and attention and an honest man or honest woman or trust or compassion, if you don't believe that you're worthy of those things, you are manifesting that out in everything you do. Because we don't have in life what we want, we have in life what we believe. You got to understand that. It doesn't change. I don't care how much you hope, wish, and pray for it. You got to get clear about what it is you believe, because we create what we really believe, not what we really want. And then lastly, we're going to create a vision. You got to have a vision in the beginning. You got to have one at the end. See, the current vision you might have is not clear because you're dealing with all the emotional wound stuff. And so you're stuck in this mental place and you can't see life, and you can't quite, kind of sort of what you want, but you don't know how to get there because you're so busy stuck in this place. I don't know. I feel insecure. You're here. You go through the program, you start getting clear, your vision will open right up. And you'll go like, oh my God, that's who I am. That's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. And then we create action steps to get you there. That's what my program does. It's called Journey to Your Best Self. If there are those of you who are fully aware of your emotions and you're like, hey, I got all that. Well, I like purpose. Like, I want to know, what is my purpose in life? I got a program on purpose. I'm not here just trying to sell you. I am a life shifter. I'm a life changer. What I do is help people create lives that they want. I got clients now who just literally just this week messaged me. I landed the dream job. I can't believe it's happening. I'm going on the dream trip. Oh my God, this is something I dreamed about all my life. I'm there. I'm Kenesha. I'm on the plane. Like, I created the business. I started. You remember the thing I've been telling you I wanted all my life? I finally got bold enough to start the business. I help change lives. I don't do it just for the sake of, to floss. I'm just telling you, we have the ability to shift and change and create the lives we want. But you will never get there as long as you are the victim of your life and you're allowing these daddy wounds to continue to control your life, and you're set and focused on what my daddy should have done, what my daddy would have done. You're the adult now. You get to pick and choose. You get to drive your life. So if you want that, if you're interested, and even if you want just a free 30-minute consultation with me, send me a WeChat. I believe every one of you guys that are here because you got into my WeChat group. You know how to get in touch with me. There is no need to continue to be the victim of your life. You can begin to heal. You can begin to create the life you want. I promise you that. Does anyone have any questions? So I have one last thing I'm going to address. It is 9 o'clock. I do my best to end on time. If you want to log off, I understand. But someone has asked a question that they asked me to address, and they said I can read it out loud. It's a lot. It's a lot. So let me see. My dad tends to never accept that he is wrong. Oh, is this one I already read? Really bad about it. The only solution is for us to say sincerely apologize. So the big question is, how can you love a father if it seems that things always go wrong once you try to apologize and fix things? Um, First and foremost, let me say I'm really sorry that that's your experience of your dad. Secondly, understand it sounds like your daddy has some daddy issues or some mommy issues that need. I think we talked about it. One of them, that need for constant validation. And sadly, that's one of those times where you have to realize that everything that affects you is not about you. That what it seems to me what your father is doing. If and remember, this is your perspective of your father. Maybe you should ask that your dad, like, Dad, how do you see this? Like you have us do all these apologies. You say we're wrong. You tell me from your perspective, how do you see this? Um, Sometimes it helps to hear another person's perspective of how they see things. um, and it may not change the situation, but it could just make you go, oh wow, that's how they see it. Okay, and so then um, the energy, there's just a shift of energy from your giving and being exhausted from the energy of feeling like, okay, I always got to apologize. All he does is see my wrong, and it's okay sometimes to withdraw. It really is okay. And it's okay to decide that as an adult, all I can do is I'm just gonna call. You know what you know what I need from my dad? Maybe all I need is to hear his voice and know that he's okay. So you pick up the phone and you call and say, hey dad, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. All right, great. Let me talk to you later. You can limit, I've absolutely learned to limit the relationship I have with my dad. That's the difference between having a father and a daddy. I don't need a daddy. You don't need a daddy. Maybe you need a father. And so you have to create for that yourself. But remember, be the hero. Be the hero. And remember, it's not about changing him. It's about you creating what it is you need within that relationship so that you can move forward. So someone else is asking, how do you bridge the gap when you don't have a father in the home and you have a very strong woman with male children? You got to find those little boys a man to model. Um, there's a saying that says a woman can teach. Um, how is it? Is it a woman can teach, but she can't show. So, like, I have a son. I can't. I can teach my son how to be a man. Like I can tell him things, but I cannot show him. He needs his father to show him. Um, and so you know, I don't know where you live, what country you're in. In America, and I'm here visiting, but in America, there are often mentor programs, there are camps, um, there are uncles, there are people who, men, and make sure you protect your boys because one thing about our little boys, and I say this and I hear my heart, it may make some people uncomfortable. Many times we worry about our little girls being sexually abused, particularly in America. Maybe other countries don't worry about this, but in America we do. We worry about our girls being sexually abused, but we don't consider that people could violate our little boys. So be careful who you present your children to. Be careful the men and the women, the adults that you bring into the comfortness or the closeness of your home with your children because you have to protect them. To me, it's so that has always been a great fear of mine. It's been a big thing as a mom to protect my daughter and my son. That no one touched them, fondled them inappropriately. So as you're looking for them a male role model, don't just put your boys in the midst of any boy or any man just because okay he's a man and he says you vet these men in meaning that you ask as many questions as you can. If they get uncomfortable, good. Here's my thing. Bryson and Brianna, those are my children. They are the most valuable things to me. I don't care if I offend an adult by asking you a tough question, if I'm leaving my child with you. But you vet the people you allow around your children. And if you have even the tiniest, as a woman, as a mother, if you have the tiniest discomfort of like, this don't feel right, go with that feeling. Don't leave your children with those people. I just have this thing. We got to protect our babies. We have to protect our boys. Read books. There's a book by, there's a minister. I cannot think of his name. Who sent me this? Send me a message in WeChat. I believe we're connected in WeChat. The person who's asking me a question about the boys, and I will send you the name of the book. There's a awesome minister who wrote a book specifically for single moms who are raising boys. So send me that message to my WeChat, and I'll send you the name of that book. So guys, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. Absolutely feel free to contact me via WeChat. Again, I offer 30-minute free consultations. I have these coaching programs. I do not do it just for the finances. I mean, that is certainly a part of it. but I do it because I love helping people live the life they want. And there are tools where you can do it. It's plain and easy. You do not have to be a victim of your life. Have a wonderful evening. Hope to hear from some of you guys. Talk to you soon. I am launching. Let me show you this on the screen if I can. Don't know quite enough about it. Share my screen. This program, and I will put it in the WeChat group. I'm launching this program on July 19th. So if you're interested, it's a journey to your best self. We can do it as a group. The price is cheaper when you do it as a group. There are payment plan options, so you don't have to have all the money at one time. But this program has been known to change people's lives. So I look forward to connecting with you. I thank you again for coming by, and I talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.